Hi, my name is Makalani from Nordic Yarn Art, and today I'm going to show you how to make these super cute Jasmine Stitch Easter egg ornaments. Making these eggs is so fast if you already know the Jasmine Stitch, and you only need a very small amount of yarn. The eggs are gorgeous for decorating your home for Easter. They're perfect for putting on your little Easter bush, making garlands, decorating your Easter table, or putting in Easter baskets. But be warned, these cute little eggs are actually pretty complex to make. So if you do not already know the Jasmine Stitch, making them can be a little bit tricky. I will walk you through every single step in this video. So if you are an experienced crocheter and you do not mind a little bit of trial and error, maybe frogging your work and starting over a few times, there is absolutely nothing stopping you from making this your first Jasmine Stitch project. But trust me, making these eggs will be so much easier if you learn the Jasmine Stitch with a simpler project first. If you're completely new to the Jasmine Stitch and want the easiest learning experience, I suggest that you check out the video I've linked to below. It's called Learn the Jasmine Stitch in One Night, and in it I show you how to work the Jasmine Stitch back and forth, which is by far the easiest way to learn. So if you're completely new, you can start there, and if you're ready for the eggs, let's dive in. So here is a close-up of the Jasmine Stitch Easter egg that we're gonna make, and as you can see, it's pretty small. But you can make it in different sizes by varying how long you pull the loops when you're crocheting the Jasmine Stitch. So as you can see, this egg is a little bit larger, and the only difference is that we've used different yarn and pulled the loops a little bit longer. So you can see on the smaller one here, I've pulled the loops to about 1 centimeter, which is 0.4 inches. And on the larger one, I've pulled them to maybe 1.5 centimeters, maybe 0.6 inches. The smaller egg ends up being about 5.5 centimeters tall, about 2 inches, and the larger one is about 7 centimeters, 2.75 inches. In this tutorial, I'm going to be working on the smaller egg, and I'm going to be pulling the loops to about 1 centimeter or 0.4 inches. To make this egg, you're of course going to need some yarn, and we'll get back to that. You also need a hook, and I recommend a 2.5 millimeter hook or a C2 hook. You're going to need a tape measure, scissors, your needle for weaving in the ends, and finally a stitch marker. This is a perfect project for using yarns from your stash. You only need about 15 meters, which is about 16 yards, to make one egg. So it's perfect even for small leftovers. And you can use a lot of different yarn types to get cute eggs. But remember that the Jasmine Stitch is actually super sensitive to the yarn you choose. So if you pick random yarn from your stash, it might be hard to work with and you might get a more messy look. So I recommend that you're patient and try out a few yarn types to find your favorite. To make the eggs, you can use Lops Design's Baby Merino wool. I recommend you try out this kind of wool because it's soft and nice to work with, and also it's a little bit more forgiving, meaning that it's easier to get nice and even petals than a lot of 100% normal cotton yarn. Normal cotton yarn can be hard to work with and can also give a kind of messy result, so I recommend that you try out wool. I also want to mention that you should choose yarn that is not loosely twisted, because if your yarn is loosely twisted and it comes apart into the separate strands easily, it's going to be really hard to build petals with it. This yarn here is kind of thin, and on one skein you've got about 175 meters or 191 yards. So this is yarn you can try, but feel definitely free to try out whatever leftovers you have in your stash. I also love making the Jasmine Stitch Easter eggs with 2 strands of yarn held together. And the combination that I really love is Sunday from Sun Is Gone, which is thin wool yarn, along with a thin mohair strand of yarn. As you can see, the yarn is super thin, but the fluff of the mohair fills in really nicely between the loops of your stitches and gives a nice and cute egg. So if you have something similar to this in your stash, maybe a leftover from a sweater or something, feel free to try that out. We are going to start this egg by making a petal into a magic circle
or a magic ring. And I just want to say that if this is the first time you've made a magic ring, or the first time you've made a petal, or the first time you've done these two things together, this is going to be a little bit fiddly. So you might need to try multiple times. You might create horrendous knots a few times, but then you're going to get it right. So just be patient and be kind to yourself. Start by getting your yarn and wrapping it. I like to do 2 times around your fingers, so you get a little circle like this. I like to put the working yarn over my fingers like this, over and under, over and under. You can see like this. Now I have my ring here, and I'm gonna insert my hook into the ring, get the working yarn, and pull it through. Now we've got a little loop on our hook, and we can chain 1. As you can see, now we have a ring, we've got a loop on our hook, and we've got the yarn tail here. Now we're gonna make the first petal. So start by pulling the loop on your hook up to about 1 centimeter or 0.4 inches. Yarn over and insert the hook through the ring. Get the yarn and pull it up to the same height again. Now you've got 3 loops on your hook. And notice how I'm pulling the ring down, making it easy to insert the hook into the ring. We're going to yarn over one more time, insert the hook through the ring, get the yarn, and pull it up to the same height again. Now we have 5 petals. We're going to secure these petals with a single crochet and a chain stitch. This is going to be a little bit hard if you're not used to it, so give yourself some time to practice. To secure the loops of the petal, we're going to yarn over and then pinch the working yarn here below the hook. Keep that yarn right where it is, and then pull your yarn through all the 5 loops. Now notice that you have a little opening below the yarn you pinched in your left hand. Insert the hook through there, get the yarn through the first loop, tighten a little bit, then yarn over and pull through both loops on your hook, tighten, and chain 1.
I know it's a lot, and if you're feeling overwhelmed or have any questions at all, please let me know in the comments below. I would be happy to help.
Now we have made the first petal into our ring. The next thing we're going to do is make 2 petals together. The first petal is going to be fastened here in this little opening on top of the first petal, and the second one is going to be fastened in the ring. So let's build this first cluster of 2 petals together. Start by pulling the loop on your hook up to 1 centimeter or 0.4 inches, yarn over, and insert into the flower center on top of your first petal. It's going to look like this. Get the yarn and pull it up. Now you've got 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, insert one more time through the flower center on top of the first petal, get the yarn and pull it up. Now you have 5 loops on your hook. We're going to fasten the next loops over the ring. Yarn over, insert the hook through the ring and get the yarn and pull it up. Now you have 5 plus 2 loops on your hook. Yarn over, insert through the ring, get the yarn and pull it up. Now we have made the loops of the 2 petals. We've got 5 here and 4 here, and we're going to secure them in the same way as we did with the first petal. To do that, we are going to yarn over and then again pinch the working yarn below the hook. Rotate your hook so that the hook part points down or towards your belly, and then pull the yarn through all the loops. This is going to be fiddly and you might need to practice. Now you have a little bit of an opening below the yarn in your left hand. Insert the hook in there, get the yarn through the first loop, tighten a little bit, yarn over and pull through both loops, tighten again and chain 1. Now we have 1 petal here first, that's the one we started with, and then we have 2 petals together. To keep track of our stitches, we're going to insert a stitch marker into flower center on top of the first petal like this. That way we're sure to be able to keep track of our stitches as we go. On the first round of our Easter egg, we need 4 in total of these petal stitch clusters with 2 petals. So we're going to make 3 more together. The first petal is going to be fastened here at the top of the petal stitch cluster we just made, and the second one over the ring. So let's do that together. Pull the yarn up to the same height that we've been using so far. yarn over and insert the hook through the flower center. Get the yarn and pull it up. Do that one more time. Insert through the flower center, get the yarn and pull it up. Now we're going to yarn over and insert into the ring. Get the yarn and pull it up to the same height. Do that one more time. Yarn over through the ring and pull it up. Now we have 5 and 4 loops on our hook, and this second petal stitch cluster of 2 petals is ready to be secured with a single crochet and a chain stitch. So yarn over, pinch the yarn below your hook, and then pull the yarn carefully through all the loops. Then insert your hook into the little opening below the pinched yarn, tighten a little bit, and get the yarn through the first loop on your hook. Tighten and pull the yarn through both of these loops, tighten again, and chain 1. This is what our work looks like now with the first single petal and 2 clusters with 2 petals. So I just want to mention the chain stitch that we made when securing the loops. This chain stitch, you're never going to insert your hook into it. It's only there to ensure that the single crochet that you actually secure the loops with does not expand too much as you put your hook through it later. Now we need 2 more of these petal stitch clusters with 2 petals. Let's make the next petal stitch cluster together. Pull the loop on your hook up, yarn over, insert through the flower center, get the yarn and pull it up. You have 3 loops, yarn over and do that one more time, insert through the flower center, get the yarn and pull it up. You have 5 loops. Yarn over, insert through the ring, get the yarn and pull it up. Yarn over, insert through the ring, get the yarn and pull it up. Now we have 5 and 4 loops on the hook, and we're going to secure these like we've done before. So pinch the working yarn below your hook, pull the yarn through all the loops, find the little opening below the pinch yarn, insert your hook there, get the yarn through the first loop on your hook, tighten a little bit, get the yarn and pull through both loops on your hook, tighten and chain 1. Now we have 1 single petal and then 3 clusters of 2 petals together. Let's make 1 more petal stitch cluster with 2 petals. Pull the loop up, yarn over, insert through the flower center, get the yarn and pull it up. Do that one more time. Yarn over, insert through the flower center, get the yarn and pull it up. Yarn over, insert through the ring, get the yarn and pull it up. Yarn over, insert your hook through the ring, get the yarn and pull it up. Now you have 5 and 4 loops on your hook. We're going to secure these like we've done before. So yarn over, pinch the working yarn and pull the yarn through all the loops. Insert your hook through the opening below the pinch yarn, get the yarn through the first loop, tighten, get the yarn through both loops, tighten and chain 1. Now we have 1 single petal and then 4 petal stitch clusters with 2 petals. Let's have a look at this Easter egg again. So this here is the middle, that's where we started, and as you can see there are 6 petals coming together here in the middle, and around here there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 petals. So this is the first round. So far on our work we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 petals coming into the middle, but we only have 4 along the edge. So this last stitch that we're going to make is going to be 3 petals together, 1 of them in the ring and the 2 others along the edge. And this is going to be kind of fiddly, but you will get it with a little bit of practice. So the first petal is going to be fastened on top like we always do, the second one in the ring, and the third one we're going to fasten where the stitch marker is on top of the very first petal of the round. So before you start, just notice where the stitch marker is and then take it out, because we don't want to work into the stitch with the stitch marker in it. Now we are ready to make 3 petals together. Start like you always do, pull up the loop, yarn over and insert through the flower center, get the yarn and pull it up. Do that one more time. Now you've got the first petal here, 5 loops, yarn over, insert the hook through the ring, get the yarn and pull it up, and do that one more time. So now we have 5 loops for the first petal, 4 for the second one, and the flower center where we're going to place the last petal is here on top of the very first petal you made. You're going to insert your hook in here. Okay, to do that, you need to yarn over and then turn your work around a little bit so you find this flower center on top. It's going to be hard to locate it the first time, but you will find it. You can see that the loops of the petal here comes out from this opening. That's where you're going to insert your hook. Insert in there, get the yarn and pull it up to the normal height. Be sure to pull it up tall and not be like this. Pull it up to the normal height, yarn over and do that one more time through the same flower center, get the yarn and pull it up. Now we've got 5 plus 4 plus 4 loops, and we're gonna secure all of these like we always do. Yarn over, pinch the working yarn below the hook and pull the loop through all the loops on your hook. Then insert your hook into the little opening below the pinched yarn, get the yarn and pull it through the first loop, tighten, get the yarn and pull it through both loops, tighten again and chain 1. Now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 horizontal petals, and you're going to be able to see that much better once we tighten the magic ring. So to do that, I recommend that you turn your work so that the back side is towards you. Insert your finger through the opening and then carefully pull the yarn tail. Now you can see that one of the strands is tightening faster than the other one, so you can get your fingers and help a little bit here. So tighten, pull the one that tightened fastest a little bit to tighten the other one, and then pull the yarn tail again. Now you've closed the middle of the jasmine flower, and we have 6 petals coming together in the middle here, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 petals along the outside of your work. And that is the first round completed.
If you're enjoying this video, please like it and subscribe to my channel. I have planned a lot of jasmine fun for you guys in the coming weeks, so you really don't want to miss out.
Now we're going to start the second round by placing a petal stitch cluster with 2 petals in this flower center here and in this flower center here. Start by pulling the loop on your hook up to regular length, yarn over and insert through the flower center. Get the yarn and pull it up. Do that one more time. Now you have 5 loops on your hook and you're going to place the next petal here. So yarn over, insert through the next flower center, get the yarn and pull it to the normal height. Do that one more time. Now we have 5 and 4 loops. So that is 2 petals, and we're going to secure these like we always do. So that is our first petal stitch cluster with 2 petals, 1 and 2. We're going to make 2 more petal stitch clusters with 2 petals. The first one is going to be fastened here and here. Start by pulling the loop up, yarning over and inserting through the flower center, get the yarn and pull it up. Do that one more time. You have 5 loops on your hook, yarn over, insert through the next flower center, get the yarn and pull it up, and do that one more time. Now we have 5 and 4 loops, and we're going to secure these. Once you've secured the loops, we have the first petal stitch cluster with 2 petals here and the second one here. And now we're going to place a stitch marker here on top of the first petal stitch cluster so that we are sure not to miss our spot where the start of the round is. Now your work looks like this, and we're going to make 1 more petal stitch cluster with 2 petals fastened in the normal spot and then down here. Start by pulling the loop on your hook up, yarning over and getting the yarn through the flower center. Do that one more time, and as you can see, I'm not going as slow as I did in the beginning. If you need to go that slow, you can slow down the speed of the video. And the reason I'm not doing that is that if I went that slow, this video would become super long, and many of you are getting used to the stitches after a few tries, and having the video that slow might be annoying. If you do not agree with this and you want me to go as slow the entire way through my tutorials, you can let me know in the comments below. Now we have 5 and 4 loops, and we will secure like we've done every time so far. Be sure to tighten the working yarn a few times as you make the single crochet and a chain stitch. Now our work looks like this. Here is the first petal stitch cluster with 2 petals, and we have 2 here, and then we have 2 here. And now we're going to make a petal stitch cluster with 3 petals. It's going to be fastened here, here, and here. Start by pulling the loop on your hook up, yarning over, and getting the yarn through the flower center. Do that one more time. Yarn over and get the yarn through the next flower center here. Pull it up. Do that one more time. And now we do not secure these 5 and 4 loops. We're going to make one more petal in here. So yarn over, get the yarn through the next flower center, pull the yarn up, do that one more time. Now we have 5, 4, and 4 loops on our hook, and we're going to secure these with a single crochet. And be patient here, this is fiddly. Insert your hook into the little opening, get the yarn through the first loop, tighten well, get the yarn through both loops, tighten well, and chain 1. So now we have our first petal stitch cluster with 2 petals here, second one here, third one here, and the last cluster has 3 petals, 1, 2, 3. Now we're going to make a petal stitch cluster with 2 petals fastened here and here. Remember that this is a pretty complex project, so if you are struggling, finding this really hard, I do recommend that you go back to the video that I mentioned at the start of this video, where you can learn the stitch without increases and decreases and not in the round like here, and it's much easier. So making this egg is going to be a lot easier after you learn the stitch with a simpler project. Okay, that's our next petal stitch cluster with 2 petals here. Now we're going to keep working round 2 of this Easter egg, and we're going to alternate between the cluster with 3 petals and the cluster with 2. So make every second one 3 petals together and every second one 2. So the next one now is going to have 3 petals. You start like we always do until you have 5 loops on your hook. Yarn over and insert through the next flower center. Do that 2 times. Now you have 5 loops and 4 loops, and we're going to make one more petal into the next flower center here, and that one's going to have 4 loops. So now you have 5, 4, and 4, and we're going to secure these like we always do. So that is our petal stitch cluster with 3 petals there, and now we're going to make 2 together. So remember that you can slow down this video if you need to. So here we go. That's our new petal stitch cluster with 2 petals, and the next one is going to have 3 petals. So keep going like this. Every second cluster has 3 petals and every other has 2. So keep going like this. Now we have 5, 4, and 4. We're going to secure the loops like this. Now our work looks like this, and the next petal stitch cluster is going to be here and here. The next petal stitch cluster is going to be 3 petals together, and we're going to place it here, here, and here. Now you have 5 plus 4 plus 4 loops, and we secure these like we always do. Then we place our next petal stitch cluster of 2 petals here and here. now you have 5 loops and 4 loops, and we're going to secure these like we always do. Now we're getting closer to the start of the round. So let's have a look at our work again. This stitch marker is placed on top of our first cluster of 2 petals, and we have our next cluster of 2 petals here and one more of 2 petals. Then we have 3 together, 2, 3 together, 2, 3 together, 2, and 3 together, 2. We have 4 groups of 3 petals followed by 2 petals. We're going to make one more group of 3 petals followed by 2 petals, and now we're getting closer to the beginning of our work. We're going to place the next petal stitch cluster of 3 petals here, here, and here, and as you can see, this last petal is fastened in the stitch where the first petal of the round also is fastened. Now you have 5 and 4 loops, and we're going to place the next petal here at the bottom of the first petal. We have 5, 4, and 4 loops, and we're going to secure these like we always do. Now we're going to make a petal stitch cluster of 2 petals fastened here and here. And then in here. So we have 5 and 4 petals, and we secure these like we always do. Now we're almost done with round 2. You can see the first petal stitch cluster with 2 petals here with a stitch marker on top. Here's the second one with 2 petals and the third one with 2 petals. Then we have 5 groups of 1, 2, 3 petals and a following stitch with 2. So that's the first group. And here the second with 3 petals and 2 there. The third with 3 petals and 2. The fourth with 3 petals and 2. And the fifth with 3 petals together here and 2. Now we're going to make the final stitch of round 2, and it's going to be a petal stitch cluster with 3 petals fastened here, here, and here. So the last petal is fastened on top of the first petal stitch cluster with 2 petals where the stitch marker is. So we don't want to work into the stitch while the stitch marker is there, so just take a close look of where this flower center is and then remove the stitch marker. Let's make this last stitch together. Pull the loop up, yarn over, and get the yarn through the flower center. Do that 2 times so that you have 5 loops on your hook. Yarn over and insert into this flower center here. That is getting pretty crowded, but you can do it. Get the yarn and pull it up. Do that one more time. Get the yarn and pull it up. Now you have 5 loops and 4 loops. You're going to yarn over and insert into this flower center here. Get the yarn and pull it up. Do that one more time. Get the yarn and pull it up. Now you have 5, 4, and 4 loops, and we're going to secure all of these like we always do. Remember to be kind to yourself if you're finding this fiddly. Okay, that is our second round completed. Let's have a look at our work so far. So remember, this is the center, that's where we started, and we have 6 petals coming out from the center, and we have 6 horizontal petals around here. That was our first round. Now we should have 14 horizontal petals along the edge of our work. So let's check that everything's correct by counting the petals. So let's start where the loop is. 1 petal, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's up there. 7, 8, 9, 10. There. 11, 12, 13, and 14. So everything's correct so far. We've got 14 horizontal petals along the edge of our work, and now we want to make sure that we have not turned our work. So insert your hook into the loop and then make sure that you have your work the right way. You want the front pointing towards you and the yarn tail and the back there, because if you turn the work and keep going this way, that's gonna mess up the rest of our egg. So make sure you have the egg the right way. You can see that you have the egg placed right when you see that we have kind of curved edge all the way around here, and then just in front of your hook you want the flat part to be. So if we have a look at this finished egg, you can see this little part here on top, that is round 3. That's only 2 stitches, and we're going to make those now. But if you just don't consider those 2 stitches, that is what we have now. So we have this flat part here is the flat part on top here.
If you want to make lots and lots of these eggs, it might be easier to follow along to a pattern than to watch this video over and over again. So I've linked to the written ad-free pattern in the description below. In it, I show you every step of the process in a photo tutorial, and also there's a quick summary of the entire process that can be really helpful when you just want to crank out lots of eggs. So if you want to take advantage of that, you can find the patterns below, and you can use the code YouTube to get 25% off. Let's dive back in.
We are now ready to start round 3, and this round only consists of 2 stitches. The first one is a petal stitch cluster with 2 petals fastened here and here. So pull the loop up, yarn over, and insert through the first flower center. Do that one more time. And then yarn over and insert through the second flower center, pull it up, do that one more time. Now we have 5 and 4 loops, and we're going to secure these like we always do with a single crochet and a chain stitch. So that is the first stitch of round 3. Now we're going to make a petal stitch cluster with 3 petals fastened here, here, and here. This petal stitch cluster of 3 petals is going to be the very final stitch of the egg. Here we have 5 loops, yarn over, insert through the next flower center and pull up. Do that one more time into the last flower center. Now we have 5, 4, and 4 loops, and we're going to secure these like we always do. Okay, that's it, guys. Now that was the final stitch. So round 3 are the 2 stitches above my hook now, this one with 2 petals and this one with 3 petals. So now we have the egg shape that we wanted. However, you might notice that this last petal here looks a little bit thinner than all the other petals along the edge of your work, and that is because this one consists of only 4 loops when all the other ones consists of 5. So now you can choose to leave the egg as is by cutting the yarn and weaving in both ends, or I'm going to show you how to make this last petal a little bit thicker. Start by getting your scissors and cut the yarn. Then pull the loop, the last loop, up so that the yarn comes out from the last stitch like this. Then you're going to get your hook and insert it through this last flower center from the back. So it's going to look like this. Then you're going to get the yarn and pull it through so it comes out on the back of your work. And you're going to pull it tight. See this little bump here? You're going to pull it tight so that that bump kind of disappears into your work. Don't pull too much though. You don't want to disfigure this last stitch. Now you've got your yarn coming out from the back of your work, and you're going to insert your hook this time from the front. This is the thin petal, so insert it at the bottom of the thin petal and then pull the yarn through. Don't pull too tight. You want this loop here to lie nicely along the other loops of the petal. Now the yarn comes out at the front of your work, and you want to add one more loop to this thin petal. So insert the yarn again from the back, get the yarn and pull it out to the back of your work. There we go. Now we've added 2 strands of yarn to this last petal, and it looks a little bit more like all the other petals. Now we're gonna weave in the ends. So you can do this with your hook, but I like to do it with a yarn needle because it's kind of easy to get your hook stuck in all the loops that the petals are made up of. So I like to get a yarn needle, thread it with the yarn tail, which can be kind of fiddly, Then we weave in the end by pushing through the loops of the petals, and be very careful when you tighten this yarn, so you don't want to disfigure your egg. But if you weave it carefully through the petals like this, the yarn tail is going to be hidden from both sides of your work. When you're satisfied with how long you've weaved the end in, you can just cut it super close to your work. Then do the same with the yarn tail that comes out from the center. What I like to do here is to weave this one around the center of your work, just to give a little bit extra security. I don't actually think this is necessary, but if you fasten this yarn tail like this, you've tightened the center of your egg where we started a little bit extra, so you're sure that it's not gonna open. But as I said, I do not think this is necessary, but if you're making something you're going to be using, for instance a coaster, that might be useful. Okay, now we fasten the working yarn and our egg is complete. Well done!